late. Had to run and take care of an errand quickly, but hey, we're here now. Let's give it a few minutes. Let's wait to see who joins. As always, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. By the way, I've got my Ryan's signature donut, being a good Canadian. I like getting a donut in a box. It's kind of cool. Makes it feel like a treat. Oops. Although, now I'm going to get frosting all over my keyboard. I didn't think this through. Hello, my brother's keepers 6. How's it going? I hope you're doing well. Let's take a few moments, hit the like and subscribe button if you're new. We're going to talk about Freemasonry. Today, price of gas is up. We're going to talk about that because, again, that affects Freemasonry. Also, let's keep on keeping up with the... Let's see if I can get this a little bit better. Keep on keeping up with the... Sorry, guys, as I try to get this better. There we go. With the Artemis 2 space mission. I talked a few days ago about the connections between Freemasonry and the moon, particularly Tranquility Lodge, which I really enjoy talking about. And I'm proud to be a member therein. What's my favorite SR degree? Keep in mind, not every ritual is the same in Scottish Rite. Honestly, I've always much preferred the emulation first 3 degrees, especially the second degree. I think it's underappreciated, but I'm also 18th degree. I didn't go to consistory or Knights of Kadosh. I mean, honestly, the judges, I can't think of what degree it is now. The judges, I think, is a very good degree. It's very fun, very valuable lesson. So whatever degree that one is, I can't think of it now. It's in Scottish Rite. It's in, Rose Qua. Hello, Dad. How's it going? I love you. Thank you for being here. What degree is that? Honestly, I'm the worst at paying attention to the Scottish Rite degrees. I'm proud to be a Scottish Rite member, but actually, even today we have Maundy Thursday. This donut was a mistake. I would just pull it up again. Okay, that's a 22nd degree. Yeah, no, I'm 18th degree. I'm not going to say only 18th degree because I'm proud to be 18th degree, but I didn't move on to consistory or Knights of Kadosh. But no, I'm not a consistory Mason. I stopped at the 18th degree because I was way too busy to focus on Blue Lodge. Eventually, I'll look at moving towards the consistory at some point. I figured I've already made it this far. I did know that. So I think my brother's keeper, you're probably coming from the States, right? Because I think Prince of Libanus is northern jurisdiction. In Ontario, you actually do it over 3 weekends, basically. You get your Lodge of Perfection first, then your Rose Croix, then you go on to get your consistory. But you don't do it all at once, all in one weekend, the way they do it in... I believe they do it that way in the southern jurisdiction, and I believe they also do that in the northern jurisdiction, which is you'll get your entire... You'll go all the way from 4 to 32, I think, in one weekend, if I'm getting that correct. If I'm incorrect, let me know, but I believe that's how it works. Welcome, everybody. Thank you again for being here. Please take a moment, hit the like button and the subscribe button if you've not done so already. I'd be truly appreciative. The first 60 minutes, we just chat, talk about stuff, nothing specific. I just answer questions. In the South, all degrees are conferred by communication in one go. The obligations, not the exact degree. Okay. Like I said, I'm not positive how the Scottish Rite degrees are provided in the American jurisdictions, particularly in the southern jurisdiction. Even though in Canada we are more aligned with the southern jurisdiction of Scottish Rite than the northern. How long have you been Scottish Rite? And do you prefer, I mean, what is it about Scottish Rite that you enjoy particularly? If you don't mind my asking, I know that could be a very long, difficult question. Secret Master, if I recall correctly. Yeah, it's the Secret Master. Or I think actually it's often called the Perfect Master. Hold on just one second. No, Secret Master, yeah, that's right. Secret Master is fourth, Perfect is fifth. How's it going, Champion Wizard? Yeah, we are. We're more aligned with the southern jurisdiction than the northern jurisdiction. That's right. I always get it mixed up because I live in Windsor, Ontario, which is right next to Michigan. Michigan is northern Masonic jurisdiction for Scottish Rite, so I always think of us as being northern jurisdiction, even though we are far more aligned with the southern jurisdiction in terms of the names of our degrees. Um, Albert Pike shows up every now and then in our ritual, which drives me crazy because Albert Pike has become my mortal enemy because people keep telling me that Freemasonry is Luciferian because of him, which drives me nuts. But yes, we are more aligned to southern than northern. Ish, welcome. Thank you for being here. That is true. I mean, I do think for many people, the religious undertones of Easter, it doesn't really apply anymore to them, which you can argue whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. It just probably depends on your religious affiliations and beliefs. Um, no, not as a character, but his famous quotes show up in our degrees, right? I mean, and you can find these quotes. He was actually, that same quote was used in Criminal Minds once upon a time, but he's not a character in the degrees. Um, I mean, that's a Darth Clorox. When you talk about Solomon, that's metaphorically true, maybe, but not literally true, right? I mean, the fathers of Freemasonry, you could argue Anthony Sayer, the first Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of England. You could argue the Mackenzie brothers, if I recall correctly. Let me get their names just to make sure. The first three speculative Freemasons out of Scotland. I think it's Mackenzie brothers. I might be getting that wrong. I just want to double check. Oh, Alexander. Sorry. I'm probably thinking Mackenzie because I'm Canadian. The Alexander brothers. July 3rd, 1634, they became speculative Freemasons. You could argue that they are the three fathers of Freemasonry. Um, but metaphorically, from a legendary perspective, or apocryphal perspective, certainly you could argue Solomon is one of the fathers of Freemasonry. Thank you, Champion Wizard. And by the way, Champion Wizard, you said that you haven't seen me for a long time. So, make sure that when you are subscribed to this channel, you have your notification bell turned on. That's incredibly important because that means whenever I'm streaming and coming on live, you will see me and you will find me and you'll know what I'm talking about. So, well, as every Freemason should have a square forehead. Hello, Mike. Welcome. Well, we're going to put you in a timeout. Freemasonry is about personal development. I agree, and I agree it's here to uplift society. I have no legs hold on to now, so I'm very short. I mean, I don't know if I'd say I'm prideful in being a Mason. I think pride goeth before the fall. I'm not saying I'm Christian either, but I think it's a very good quote. I would say, though, I do have a level of gratefulness to be a Freemason, and I'm grateful for the things that it has allowed me to do, particularly the things it allows me to do to help make the world a better place. If you're going to call that prideful, then I guess so be it. I don't know. Is that big? I'm Buddhist. Welcome. I know many Buddhist Freemasons. Or I know some Buddhist Freemasons, I should say. I guess define many. Please hit like. Please hit subscribe. Hold on to now. A Freemason is a member of a Masonic lodge or a Masonic body, which is basically a civic organization or a civil organization. Or civic, I should say. Think of it like a clubhouse. You're part of a club. It's just a club that has been around for a long time. It has existed for over 300 years, and it exists all around the world with different jurisdictions. Hello, YW33. Please hit like and subscribe. Zirion, why do you say I'm deceiving myself? To be one, ask one, Hazy. Although if you just found out about it, your first question shouldn't be about joining. Your first question should be to learn more about it. What you need to do is find a Masonic lodge in your area and approach them, express your interest in joining, and go from there. No idea, Daniel Phipps, but I think he's married, so... I mean, I don't know what hempcrete is. I'm not a literal stonemason. I'm a speculative Freemason or speculative Mason. So I guess if it's a building material that works, that's cheaper, that's cost effective, and yet gets the job done, then I suppose I'd support it. But I need to know more about it to say. Germany? There's Masonic lodges in Germany. There's many Masonic lodges in Germany. Captain Blackbird, not during a lodge meeting, I would think, because you're busy during the lodge meeting. But for refreshments afterwards, sure, why not? You can eat some cheeseburgers and fries. It depends what the junior warden feeds you. It is not like the Illuminati. The Illuminati is a separate organization which really doesn't exist anymore. The Illuminati started in 1776 by a gentleman named Adam Weishaupt. He was a former Mason who grew disenfranchised or grew to dislike Freemasonry, and as a consequence decided to start his own organization, which he felt would be better because it would focus more on esotericism. Didn't last very long. Yes, there are. To my knowledge, none of those pubs are actually owned by or have anything to do with Freemasonry directly, but it is really cool to see so many of them have names after Freemasonry or named for Freemasonry. YW33, please hit like, please hit subscribe. Sometimes we'll have pizza. It depends again on the junior warden and what he wants to provide, what he wants to give us for dinner. He's the person in charge of it. He did. That is true. I mean, I don't know the timeline between when he joined and when he became a 33rd. Sometimes it's very quick. Sometimes people take a while to do it. Thank you, Hazy Benazi. Oh, Captain Blackbird, is this one of those dumb things that you talk about with your conspiracy theories? I didn't catch on to that. All right, well, unfortunately, sometimes foolish people say dumb things and I miss it. Um, Thank you for the heads up, Jimmy Z. Unfortunately, it's one of those things where you can't necessarily, what's the word I'm looking for? Unfortunately, it's very hard to deal with whether or not Freemasons, like people can pretend to be Freemasons online, people can say nonsense about Freemasonry online. Unfortunately, there's very little we can do about it. I wish there was more we could do about it, but it's very tough, short of, trademark infringement, to argue they're using the square and compasses improperly, but that's really hard to prove, especially depending where he's at. The square and compasses may not be trademarked, so that's an issue. The other issue you need to deal with is if he's modified them sufficiently, it may not fall under trademark anymore. So it is tough, but I appreciate the heads up. Or you can report the channel, make a complaint, but again, those complaints are hard to enforce. Yes, I am an unfortunate looking individual, but you can still hit the like button and the subscribe button. Hello, Braden. Well, I mean, nothing within Freemasonry comes from Satanism, but I do agree. I think this is a problem for Freemasons and non-Freemasons alike, is they get so lost in symbolism, they forget to look at all of the practical, day-to-day things that Freemasonry does to make the world a better place. And it's unfortunate when that happens. Good afternoon, Michael Moore. How's it going? Thank you for being here. Were you following along with the Artemis space launch last night? All right. I mean, yeah, but it's tough. Even with grifters, it's tough to necessarily get rid of them. All you can do is report them and hope that YouTube deals with it, or what you do is you rely on positive Masonic channels like mine to push against the negative ones, and you promote the positive ones. Well, it seems like it's going pretty well. I mean, as a member of uh, Tranquility Lodge 2000, which hopes to meet on the moon, anything that gets humanity one step closer to returning to the moon, I support. Because I would like to, very, very much, I would like to have at least one Masonic Lodge meeting on the moon, and maybe it's possible in my lifetime. I'm 42. Maybe I'll live to be 80, so that gives me 32, 38 years to make it there. Because I'm on YouTube all the time. That is awesome. I hope the brother from Romania enjoyed it very much. Braden, it might have been a shrine doctor that did it for free, which is, the Shriners are Freemasons, so it was a Freemason. Um, Even if not, even if it was a Freemason outside of the shrine, that's still awesome. That's a great example of Masonic charity and the ways that Freemasons can help make the world a better place. So Freemasons don't sacrifice things, except for our time. I mean, I suppose you could argue though, anytime we show up to lodge, we're sacrificing our time, we're sacrificing our energies, but no living things, that's for sure. That's really cool, Braden. Well, thank you for being here. I appreciate it. And I'm glad you got the surgery when you were a kid. Oh, the engine firing, by the way, is expected at 7:49 p.m. Eastern. Yeah, I mean, I'm not going to be a reviler of anyone's religion, but I think we've reached a point in society where we should not be sacrificing living things to a deity. I don't, humans are animals. We can sacrifice them for our food. And if there's a religious component to that, that's understandable, right? Like many cultures and many religions have specific ways of butchering animals um, for religious purposes, for religious festivals and ceremonies, and that I'm perfectly fine with. That's okay. My concern is more if there's a sacrifice done and there's, outside of butchering for food or sustenance. So, Braden, thank you for being here. I think you're new to the stream, right? If you are, please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and let me know how you're doing. First of all, I love that episode of The Simpsons. None of the things that you see in that episode actually happen, except we do very often argue about what to have for dinner, and the guys do cheer very loudly when it's ribs. So there is that. But beyond that, none of the things you see in those lodges actually happen. I mean, definitely don't sacrifice humans. So it is not considered a religious organization. I've never heard of any Masonic lodge being considered for, let's say, taxation purposes or otherwise as a religious organization. Yes, it is a hobby, but again, even for every hobby that you have, you are sacrificing your time to be there, to engage in it. I don't care if it's knitting, right? Every hour you spend knitting is an hour of time you can spend on something else. So it is a sacrifice. Um, but I think that's a good thing, right? I think if you care about something, there should be a sacrificial quality to it. I don't think there's anything necessarily wrong with that. I'm not suggesting it in a negative way. I'm just saying it kind of is what it is. It's okay to have a hobby, but still be willing to make sacrifices for it. That is true. And those also require a certain level of sacrifice or being willing to sacrifice. I mean, I think we're getting into very um, semantic territory with this. I mean, if you want to argue that a sacrifice needs to be something that you don't want to do and are doing it anyways, then I mean, I suppose, but I think almost anything, there's a point at which you need to sacrifice for it. I mean, musicians may love being musicians, but that doesn't mean they didn't sacrifice a lot of time and energy to become good musicians. Freemasonry is the same way, right? I enjoy exercise. I'm starting to enjoy it more and more. For the longest time, I didn't like it, but I'm starting to like it more and more. But it's still a sacrifice to do it, even if I enjoy it after the fact or enjoy it during the fact. Order over chaos. I mean, I think the natural state of the universe is to be ordered. Humans create chaos, and if we spent more time looking at the universe and taking our cues from it and from the natural order we see therein, maybe things would be better. I've argued this before, right? My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. To live in accordance with that, which would be the Stoic idea of virtue, I think would demonstrate a great deal of strength and wisdom and the sublimation of chaos by order. Darth, I hope nothing teleports into my room. I mean, I have no issue again. It's with the idea of sacrifice for religious or butchering for religion in a specific way. I don't have a huge issue with it. My issue is if you're just doing it to do it. So long as after you have sacrificed the animal in a manner that doesn't cause harm or undue suffering to the animal, or doesn't cause any undue pain or suffering to the animal, then, eat the animal, partake in the food. Don't sacrifice it and then throw it away. That is not okay. But, like halal butchering, you could argue is a type of sacrifice, and I don't think there's anything wrong with that. I think, well, I'm a very good person, but I'm going to stay in Freemasonry. Actually, maybe I'm not a good person. Who knows? I try to be a good person. Bark Zum, it's a name, says I am sick. Honestly, I am sick in that I have a cold, but I don't think that's what you mean. Nonetheless, what are your thoughts? Why am I a sick person? Is it because I'm a Freemason and proud of it? Champion Wizard, welcome back. Thank you for being here also. We're going to keep hanging out. We're going to wait to, again, the first 60 minutes, I don't have any specific discussion points. I just hang out and talk. Second 60 minutes, I want to talk about the price of gas and price of oil because that does affect Freemasonry, and also more information about the Artemis space mission because, again, we as Freemasons should care about that stuff. Freemasonry is different to religion, absolutely. Well, I'm talking about it because this is my channel. Freemasonry is a civic institution or a civic club or group that has existed for approximately 350 years, between 300 and 400 years. Think about it like a club or an organization, just one that's been around for a long time and is relatively widespread over the world. So a Freemason would be a member of a Masonic lodge or a member of Freemasonry. Freemasonry is not a religion. So unless you define pagan so broadly just to mean anything that's not Christian, then sure, because Freemasonry is not a religion. But by that token, the Elks, the Moose, the Rotary Club would all be pagan as well, right? Ultimately, Freemasonry is a civic institution. We are 30 minutes into the first 60 minutes. 28 minutes, 17, 18, 19, 20 in. Patrick, because I have a dumb looking face, please hit like and subscribe. Every Freemason tells you something else about it. Well, I mean, you're not wrong. Freemasonry is an ultimately very individual experience, an individual journey. It's common understandings, common symbolism, but with individual interpretations and individual feelings about it, individual understandings of it. And so, yeah, no two Freemasons are going to have the exact same experience with Freemasonry, and no two Freemasons are going to share this exact same beliefs, either about Freemasonry or about the religious understandings they have in their own personal lives. Right? And I wouldn't want to be part of an organization that demanded complete conformity in interpretation, complete conformity in belief. That would be closer to a religion or even a cult than anything else. Darth, in terms of atheist Freemasons, traditionally no, but there are some orders in France which do allow for um, liberal orders in France that do allow atheists to join. No, we do not all worship the same higher power. We do not. We all have our own versions of it. I mean, if you have, let's say, in a lodge, 10 Christians, they may all say they worship the same higher power, those 10, but then maybe there's 5 others who are Muslim, and 2 who are Jewish, and 3 who are First Nations, right? There's no single higher power in Freemasonry. And no, we do not worship Baphomet. I never heard of Baphomet until I started this channel, and now everybody keeps telling me I worship Baphomet. Very, very annoying. We are not taught to prep. I've never been to any Masonic lodge that preps. Now, there could be Masons who are preppers. It wouldn't shock me. But I think Freemasonry our efforts are better spent focusing on, I think our efforts are much better spent on trying to prevent the actions that would lead to us needing to prep. What makes me a scapegoat? Why be I a scapegoat? A scapegoat for whom? Hello, Travis the Pirate. Thank you for being here. By the way, if you guys are just joining us, please don't forget, take a moment, hit the like button and the subscribe button. You see a lot of Masons faces out there. I'm not the only one I'm not the exclusive one with a podcast, that's for sure. Oh, consider yourself coming in hot with the grammar smackdown. We're just going to keep hanging out. That's an interesting point, Darth. So I'm not going to speak to religion specifically. What I am going to speak to you is, I'll say, I think a problem with a lot of people is they're too focused on the intellectual exercise and not enough on the practical exercise of whatever it is they're doing. It's a bit like wanting to learn how to ride a bike. You can read every single book you want about riding a bicycle. Until you actually get on the bike and ride it, you're never going to truly understand. I mean, keep in mind, and I appreciate that, Braden, that's very kind of you, but I don't necessarily want to represent Freemasons per se. I'd like to represent myself, my own views on Freemasonry, and my own efforts and desire to turn my passion for Freemasonry into a profession and promote the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities in which it's located. Yeah, but I mean, at a certain point, the reason becomes irrelevant. If you want to ride a bicycle and you have a lot of great reasons, but you never learn how to ride a bike, that reason becomes irrelevant, right? At a certain point, you have to just do the thing. Well, there's a couple different reasons, David Thompson. First is because we within Freemasonry do have a volume of the sacred law, which we refer to. However, it's not a specific religious book. Rather, it's any book that a applicant may use. They could use the Quran, they could use the Bible, they could use a Torah, an eagle feather, right? Also, historically, people would describe Freemasonry as the one true religion. You see that in the Anderson constitutions. However, what they meant by that is not that Freemasonry is meant to be a replacement for Christianity or Judaism or the Muslim faith or Islam. Rather, what it was trying to say is that whether you are Muslim, Jewish, Hindu, Sikh, Christian, you can within Freemasonry find a home for your civic engagements and your civic involvement. Otherwise, your neighbors, your friends, your family, right? You could argue in the same way being a neighbor is a religion, in that if I'm a good neighbor, I try to be a good neighbor religiously. I once saw somebody at a scary movie convention wearing a t-shirt that said, "Scary movies are my religion." Now, it didn't mean that they pray to scary movies. It didn't mean that they used scary movies in place of going to church or whatever it might be. Rather, it meant that they had kind of they viewed scary movies as important to them, but it was not a religion, right? And so that is why Albert Pike described it that way as well. Basically saying, look, whatever your religious beliefs are, that is for you, and you go to your church and you pray. Who knows who's right and who knows who's wrong? I think Albert Pike was a Christian, so he would have said the Christian religion is right. But day to day, within a Masonic lodge, it welcomes men of all different faiths and all different backgrounds and all different beliefs because it's there for your civic engagement, not your religious experiences, if that makes sense. I hope that made sense. You are welcome. I mean, certainly you can be a religious organization and be a bit dodgy or much dodgy. Very often, the reason for that is because, they are using religious speech and religious phrases to trick people into thinking they're affiliated with the church, which, by the way, happens with religion a lot, or sorry, happens with Freemasonry a lot as well, which is where a religious, sorry, which is where a Masonic organization, a group of people will start to claim that they're Masonic. They'll use Freemasonry, they'll use Masonic terms, they'll use Masonic symbolism, and they'll claim that they're Masonic, and they'll trick people into thinking they're Masonic, and they'll use the people they've tricked. They'll scam them out of money, they'll scam them out of time, they'll scam them to get legitimacy, all that stuff. So it's really scary. So it's unfortunate that things like that happen. And it happens to every organization, every group, be they religious or otherwise. Well, I mean, no, I mean, I know many Freemasons who take their religion and their religious beliefs very seriously, but they also recognize that day to day, like if they see their neighbor on the elevator, they are not going to kick the neighbor out of the elevator because their neighbor is a Muslim if they're a Christian or vice versa, right? They understand that the relationship with their neighbor is a civic relationship. They'll go to church as well, obviously, and they'll be very take that very seriously. But they understand there's a space in which their religion is the most important thing, and there's a space in which their civic engagements are the most important thing. But it's definitely true that it is definitely for people who have a moral code. I think to be a good Freemason, you need to have a moral code. Most Masons will use the term morality. I don't like that, and this is just me speaking for myself. I prefer the term ethics. I think morality is more of a religious term, but ethics is more of a civic term. I think Freemasonry gives you the ethics of how to live well day to day, how to be a good neighbor, a good friend, a good family member, a good community member. From a moral perspective, I think that trends more toward religious understandings. I mean, again, if that is somebody's personality, then so long as they're not hurting anybody, it's a free country and they can praise Jesus all they want. But I agree that we need to understand that there are civic spaces in which it's not appropriate to discuss religion or politics for that matter. Freemasonry, you're not allowed to discuss either. I think it's one of its greatest strengths. Well, it doesn't make you religious. And I mean, this is getting super technical, but it is interesting. The idea of morals versus ethics. Ethics are codes of conduct that are ascribed or prescribed for specific instances. So, for example, the reason why a profession like social workers, police officers, don't have codes of morals but have codes of ethics is because the ethics are meant to apply to the way they act with their patients, with the public, with whomever it might be. Ethics are about the way you act in a professional or civic manner towards others. So, certainly, Freemasonry has a great deal of ethical considerations. Those ethics can be applied to your fellow Masons or to the community as a whole. When I'm being charitable to my neighbor, I'm making an ethical decision, and that ethical decision is being made based on, amongst other things, my Masonic teachings. Morality tends to be more something that is meant to apply universally across the board. And usually people get their morals, not always, but very often, they get their morals from more of a religious connotations. Like the Ten Commandments would be a moral code, right? The code of conduct as to how to be a good police officer, that's an ethical code. And again, people use these terms interchangeably. I use these terms interchangeably. You could argue that Freemasonry makes me a more moral individual, and I think it does. But I think ethical, on a very technical term, is more the correct term to use. Um, Without a central conference. Well, David Thompson, honestly, nothing. Now, there is a central conference. There's the Grand Masters Conference of North America. And what they will do is if they find out that a person has opened a lodge, called it Freemasons, and is taking people's money, at that conference, they will make a note and send out a warning. Hey, so and so in such and such a place is calling himself a Freemason and he's taking people's money. He's not recognized. It's not legitimate. Do not interact with him. That can absolutely, happen. It's called COGMA, and there's also the committee of recognition, which would also note such and such is scamming people. Don't recognize him. Unfortunately, though, because in the age of the internet, you don't even need to do it physically. You can just send out a mass email to 1 million people, calling yourself a Mason, telling people that they can join your lodge. All they need to do is send you $1 million or $500 or whatever it is. That can absolutely happen. That can absolutely take place. And unfortunately, Freemasons, there's only so much that we can do about it. We can't be online 24/7. We can't police it all the time. It's up to us to provide general information to the public about what Freemasonry is and isn't, how to spot a scam and a Masonic scam, and then rely on people's good judgment. I've actually had a few episodes where I've talked about Masonic scams, how they work, how to spot them, and how to make sure that you're not falling for one. I'm actually going to talk about that today after the first 60 minutes as well. But one of the biggest ways you can tell if somebody's scamming you is if they make any promises of fame, money, or riches, or influence if you join. No Masonic lodge should ever promise you money, fame, or riches if you join the lodge. That's not how it works. Freemasonry is not a way to get rich or successful or to make money. Well, I mean, low Zol, sure. I mean, that's, again, we're getting into super semantic territory. Look, anybody can call themselves whatever they want. It's like, if somebody's going to call themselves a Christian, who am I to necessarily disagree with them, right? It's not really my place to tell somebody who is and isn't a Christian. It's not really my place to say who is and isn't a Mason. It is my place, though, to say who is and isn't a recognized Mason, which means if you're going to call yourself a Mason, that's fine. But if you are not recognized in a Masonic lodge setting, it's important people know that, because otherwise they'll think you have information you don't. It's a bit like calling yourself a lawyer. I mean, it's not my place to say. If you want to call yourself a lawyer, fine. It's not my place to say if you are or are not. It is my place, though, to say whether you're licensed or not licensed as a lawyer. And if you're not licensed, it's fair to let other people know that, because you might be giving them bad legal advice. In fact, you almost certainly will. I say that as somebody who's trying to deal with my license. I went to law school. I graduated, but my license is suspended because I never bothered dealing with it. I keep keep wanting to deal with that and never getting around to it. So my plan is this month to finally deal with it and finally fix this issue. Thank you, Christ Enlightenment. What does 33 degrees mean? It means it's the degree after the 32nd. 33rd is an honorary degree in Scottish Rite. It's not the highest degree in Freemasonry. It's not the most important degree in Freemasonry. I don't know where this obsession with the 33rd degree came from, but it is annoying. It's simply an honorary degree you can get in Freemasonry. It doesn't make you any more important or more powerful than a third degree Mason. Yes, that's true, and some do that with Freemasonry as well. It's unfortunate, but there are absolutely people who abuse being a Freemason or abuse the term Freemason. They may not even be a Freemason. They'll just call themselves that and hurt people. And it sucks when that happens. So, but unfortunately, all we can do is put our best foot forward, explain to people what Freemasonry actually is, and you go from there. I think there should always be overseers, not an overseer. I think one is at risk of absolute power corrupting. And Freemasonry does not have a overseer. It has decentralized overseers. So there's an overseer in Ontario. He answers to no one within Ontario, but out except for the democratic will of the people because it's voted on. But he also does not oversee Freemasonry in Manitoba or Saskatchewan or Quebec or Texas or New York. There's different people there. No one is any higher than any other, and there is no single organization that oversees all of Freemasonry. The highest level is the third degree of Freemasonry. The point, I mean, what is the point of desiring to advance in anything? You learn more about it, you become more skilled in it. It's meant to represent, philosophically, anyways, or metaphorically, the journey of a stone mason from apprentice to master and learning more as he goes. Well, I mean, there aren't really any laws to protect Freemasonry in that sense, with the exception of, you could argue trademark infringement is one. That absolutely is the case, trademark infringement. But beyond that, it's kind of up to us as Freemasons to police ourselves and to let the public know who's legitimate and illegitimate. And also, obviously, if someone calls themselves a Freemason, takes people's money, gives them nothing back, you could argue that's fraud of a sort because he's claiming something he's not, but that's up to criminal charges or civil charges to be brought forward. It might be illegal. It's tough. It's very tough. I have to know more about what they're saying. If they said, for example, they're a member of the Grand Lodge of such and they're not, at that point, that's fraud. If they say they're a Freemason in their heart, that's probably not fraud. If they're using a Masonic symbol in their social media, that might be trademark infringement. It's really tough. It's one of those things where it's not a simple answer, and Freemasons are struggling with that quite a bit right now. Well, you can't trademark the term Freemason, but you can trademark the square and compasses symbol, which most jurisdictions have actually. Most Masonic jurisdictions in the States and Canada have trademarked the square and compasses symbol. But again, all you need to do is modify it slightly and you get away with it. So, Artemis 2 is 41,000 miles away from Earth. It's the first time since 1972 that humans have seen a crescent Earth in full. That's pretty incredible. I mean, I support trademarking the square and compasses. It's one way in theory to protect the craft from people pretending to be members of it when they're not, but it's also very hard to enforce. That's true. I mean, all I can do is give you the credentials that would make it true, and then you can check on your own by, asking to see a dues card or something like that. I mean, the symbol is different enough that it doesn't fall under the trademark laws because I actually trademarked that symbol myself, the square and compass symbol. Um, you have to be really careful in seeing the way people use terms. So, for example, if they say they're a member of a specific lodge, that's one thing. If they say they're a Freemason in their heart, that's another. It gets very complicated, and there's no specific answers to these things. The best we have is our rules of recognition, our rules of regularity, possible trademark infringement rules. Beyond that, it gets very complicated. Bye, Dad. I love you. Thank you for being here, as always. Well, I trademarked my image because the Square and Compass Promotions is not a Masonic symbol, right? Now, again, I've always been very clear about this. This channel is about promoting the ways Freemasonry was and is relevant to the communities which it's located and discussing Freemasonry, but it's my opinions. It's not Grand Lodge's opinions of any sort. It doesn't purport to speak to any other views of Freemasonry or any Grand Lodge views of Freemasonry. I'm giving you my opinions on what Freemasonry is and what I think it is. That's also why I called it square and compass and not square and compasses. The technical symbolism is square and compasses, right? When you hear people talk about that, it's supposed to be plural. I kept mine singular because I wanted to represent the fact that I'm not affiliated with any Grand Lodge. I'm a Mason, but when I speak here, I speak for myself exclusively and my own views. It's my own business. It doesn't, none of the money goes to Grand Lodges. None of the being a member here doesn't make you a member of a lodge, or does it make you a Mason? It makes you a supporter of Square and Compass Promotions. Um, if you've never been a Mason, there's a lot of truth to that. There are plenty of people, Christ Enlightenment, who are not Masons, but who study the history of Freemasonry and who know a great deal about it. However, in those circumstances, they still don't truly understand it. Again, the example I use is riding a bicycle. There are many people who may have read everything about riding a bike. They know everything with the history of bicycles. They can name you every brand of bicycle. They can tell you where every bicycle came from. If they've never ridden a bicycle, they don't truly understand it. And Freemasonry is the same way. There are people who know way more about Freemasonry than I do, the history of it, the origins of it. But if they've never been a Freemason, if they've never been in a lodge meeting, if they've never sat through it, they don't have a true understanding of it. Well, the difference is I'm not lying to people. First of all, I've never told anybody that joining this channel makes you a Freemason. I've never told anybody that joining this channel gives you access to fame, money, influences, or power. This is me providing a service that I wanted to provide, and I leave it up to people to decide if it's worth supporting or not. They may want to support it, they may not support it. If I were to come on here and tell people that joining this channel makes you a Freemason, or that joining this channel makes you rich or famous or successful, or that this channel is affiliated with a Masonic Grand Lodge, that would not be okay. So in the same way, I've always said this, I have no issue with somebody saying, my name is Bob Smith and I've started my own Masonic organization and give me $500 and you can join it. I mean, so be it. If they say that they're a member of a Grand Lodge and they're not, I have a problem with that. And if they tell people that joining will make them rich or famous or make them a Mason, I have a problem with that as well. Well, I think you need to, and I love Houston, Texas. I mean, I love Texas, I should say. I've been to many Texas Masonic Lodges, they're beautiful buildings. It's beautiful people, and wonderful Freemasons. Um, so how do you people? So here's some advice. First, from a Masonic perspective, if anybody is promising you that you will get rich or famous by joining Freemasonry, they're almost certainly scamming you or they're just wrong. Freemasonry will not make you rich, will not make you famous, will not make you powerful. Freemasons will never invite you to join. So, if you get an email from somebody or a phone call saying, we are inviting you to be a Freemason, or we've pre-selected you to be a Freemason, that's certainly a scam. Creating a false sense of urgency. We've pre-selected you to be a Freemason. However, you have to send us money within 5 weeks or this offer is canceled. That is also um, a sign of a scam, right? And Freemasons will never rush you. If you're interested in joining Freemasonry and they start to rush you and push you and try to get you to join quickly, try to get you to join right away, that's almost certainly a scam as well. So you need to keep that in mind also. So pay attention to those things. Pay attention to, again, false or trying to create a sense of urgency. That's a huge one. Pre-approving you to join is baloney. Promising you things. And also always ask them if you can, first and foremost, before you do anything else, what is the Grand Lodge to which they're affiliated with, right? And for this, again, nobody who joins my lodge is going to get rich. Or sorry, excuse me, nobody who becomes a member of this channel is going to get rich, is going to get famous. You'll get cool stuff. You'll get some coins. You'll get some correspondence. You'll get some members exclusive videos. But it's not making you rich and famous. It's not making you a Freemason. This is me giving my opinions and creating a product and service. If people like it and want to support it, I'm grateful. If you don't, that's fine as well. Staying consistent is incredibly important, and I'm glad that you joined Christ Enlightenment. I think staying consistent is incredibly important. Nice gestures. I mean, that's out of the shrine. It's something I know very little about, but it's good to have you. No, but what you can do is you can ask them to which Grand Lodge they are affiliated with. And then if you know that, you can ask for a dues card, or you can contact the lodge, not to get disclosure, but just to say, hey, so-and-so is claiming to be a Freemason. And if he's not, at least the lodge knows someone out there is pretending to be one who's not. But again, it's not going to come up to you on a day-to-day basis unless, for example, someone is telling you, hey, we want you to join Freemasonry. In which case, I mean, if nothing else, okay, take me to your lodge. Let's take a tour of the building. Let me meet your other members. If somebody's pressuring you to join Freemasonry or pressuring you to give them money to make them a Freemason, all of that stuff is a sign that you're being scammed. Well, your friends are wrong. Freemasonry is neither demonic nor occult. Yes, that's a good one, Christ Enlightenment. There are dues they have to pay, but if people are saying, give us money to be a Freemason, money is the last conversation, because they're not going to take your money and then have you join. You'll join and then you pay your dues. I think you get smarter and wiser. I think at least you get, wiser, if nothing else. I do have a Mason ring. Oops. I have a Masonic ring. I got it from my dad. I don't wear it because I'm in a wheelchair. And if I wear the ring, it just scrapes up against the wheels. You hear this a lot. Not a monthly fee. Usually it's a yearly fee. Pre-LTP. Every lodge is different. Some lodges, it's as little as $25 per year. Others, it's as much as $250 or even higher. It depends on the lodge and what their operating expenses are for the year. What is the point or use of being a Freemason? IMAX forever. What is the point or use of going out with your friends on a Friday night? What is the point of hanging out with other people? The point of Freemasonry is the same as the point of almost any organization or group throughout history. It's worth spending time with other people, or the point is to spend time with other people. I mean, most Masonic lodges, unless there's an exception of some sort, will have yearly dues, right? So when you are joining Freemasonry, or when you're interested in joining Freemasonry, one of the first things you should do is you should ask them what are the yearly dues to join and what is the initiation fee. But they should never say, okay, give us the money and you're accepted. Rather, it's you talk to them, you get to know them, they get to know you. Maybe after a couple months or a few months, they do a vote on you. If the vote is successful, your application is approved. You'll be given a date and time to join. And at that point, before your initiation, you can usually provide them with the fees. But you don't do it before, and you don't do it until you get to know them. If that's the first thing they ask you for, it's almost certainly a scam and you need to leave. I can tell you what my vision for Freemasonry is. It's to make the world a better place through the application of brotherly love, relief, and truth. However, IMAX forever, what is the vision of you going with your friends on a Friday night? It's to enjoy one another's company and to enjoy being around people. Why must there be a vision beyond that? Human nature is such that we do better when we're with other people. I'm glad you understand. And by the way, IMAX forever. I hope you hit the like button and the subscribe button. That'd be very helpful. Why must you do anything? I don't understand the question. I mean, if you like music, why must you create new music? There's already music every day. I mean, why create restaurants? There's already restaurants. Why, there's a variety of different things that you can do to enjoy the company of others. In 1717, a lot of people decided that Freemasonry was a good way. Part of it is because it had historical roots in stonemasonry, and that was really cool, and people liked being a part of that. Part of it was people liked the traditional history of it, and part of it was people liked the idea of belonging to something that involves ceremonial or rituals as a way to create bonds of brotherhood. So that's why. I mean, why create a football team? Why not play soccer? Well, because some people prefer football to soccer. Some people prefer spending time with others in the context of Freemasonry versus spending time with others in the context of a knitting club or a philosophy group or whatever it might be. Thank you for the donut holes, Pumpkin Spice. That's incredibly kind. Google how many lodges you've built. I've not built any lodges. I can't build anything to save my life. I'm a speculative Mason, not an operative Mason. Do I like to think every day when I am doing things for Freemasonry, I'm building a better world metaphorically, if nothing else, which can be really hard. All right, here you go. You want one of these? Here you go. Here's my Masonic ring. The question is, as always, points in or points out? Let me know how you wear it. 3 subscribers away from 3,780 subs, so help a brother out. Let's see if we can get there. My subscriptions have kind of leveled off. I'd like to see them increase again if possible. We're definitely not going to do a blood pact because aside from being, I think, illegal, it's certainly unhygienic. You telling me you don't have any rituals with your friends? Human beings have developed rituals for millions of years. Every time a handshake is a ritual, for the record. And Pumpkin Spice, thank you for the donut holes. By the way, everybody watching this, you can send some gifts. That'd be incredibly kind. You can hang out with us, join us, like, subscribe, super chat. Believe me, all that stuff helps out big time. This weekend is Easter, so I am considering what I want to do for some special events, special streams, since people have Monday and Friday off. Many people do. I'm not sure what, but we'll see. I've never heard of a black right eye ceremony or ritual. I've never received a black eye in Freemasonry. Never seen anything in Freemasonry that would be illegal. Giving somebody a black eye would be illegal. But it's absolutely true that unfortunately rituals are very often not understood by uh, um, rituals are not understood by typical people, or what a ritual is. Don't hurt people. Honestly, that's a pretty decent slogan. You could say everybody needs to live by that manner of just don't hurt people, which is very smart. We're actually at the 60-minute mark. All right. So I want to talk about my specific topics for today. Never heard of it. I think that sounds like a lot of baloney to me. Hurt people do hurt people. That's true. I'm going to try to eat this donut without touching it because it's very good, but the icing is running, which is making it very difficult to eat. Because then I get icing on my fingers, and then it gets on my computer. And that's the thing. So give me 1 minute to start on the main topics. I want to try to finish my. It's the Ryan signature donut. It's maple. It's very good, and I get it in this box, which is like a neat little treat. So I appreciate that. It felt like I'm getting a present. Also had an itch. Alrighty. First thing I want to mention, because I've been keeping track of this, is the price of gas as of right now is $4.08 average price per gallon. A change of $1.10 since February 28th, 2006. My suspicion is that number is going to keep going up. That matters for Freemasonry, despite what people may think it doesn't, or people may think, what is the price of gas into Freemasonry? How are people getting to and from Masonic lodges? How are people getting to and from Masonic events? Right? How are people getting to and from Masonic funerals, Masonic celebrations? They have to drive there by and large. If they don't drive there but take public transit fares will go up as well. For example, the tunnel bus that I use to go from Canada to Detroit, Windsor to Detroit, to visit Masonic lodges, increased its one-way fare from $15 to $19, which means that's an extra $8 every time I want to visit my Masonic brethren in the States. I visit them, let's say, 3 times. That's $24 more per month. That adds up. Maybe I have to cut back on how many times I visit my brothers in the States. Or if I want to fly to a Masonic event somewhere around the world, sure, high altitude. Shoot me off a email and let me know what works for you. You still have my email, right? So shoot me off an email when you get the chance. Right? We cannot pretend like this stuff is not going to significantly impact our ability to attract membership, maintain involvement when gas is at over $4 a gallon. There was actually somebody on this channel a little while ago who was talking about they did not go to a Masonic funeral service because it was too far to drive. It would have cost them over $100 in gas to get there. And they said the choice was between that and food. They chose that, right? Public transit prices go up. It cost me $8 more to visit my brethren in the States. Right, eventually we'll get the Gordie Howe Bridge here and I can walk across and take the bus. But until then, I'm paying for it, right? Now, yes, it was higher in 2022 when it was over $5, but it's basically as high as it's ever been since early 2023, and it's been dropping so much ever since. It's a huge spike. And I think we as Freemasons need to be aware of that. Also, if things become so expensive overall that, because again, the increasing cost of gas does not just affect your ability to fuel things, it affects your ability to buy food. It affects your ability to, because the food is transported, transportation costs are part of the cost of food, fertilizer as well. It affects your ability to purchase, items for entertainment, for enjoyment, for non-essentials. Suddenly, every dime is being given to essential items. At what point are you going to start to be hit by an inability to pay for non-essential items? And at what point does Freemasonry become non-essential? Nice. You're the exception, Christ's Enlightenment. You're the exception. They're going well. I need to get more money, dank, in rank. So please consider becoming a member. Hit the subscribe button. Hit the super chat button. Become a Patreon member. That stuff would help out big time. And we'd be much obliged. So I did want to say, I don't think that your friend of mine, Donald Trump, President Donald Trump's speech on last night did anything to ease people's fears, unfortunately, which means I suspect gas will continue to go up in cost and continue to be relatively high for a very long time. We're going to see that affect Freemasonry. It did in the 1930s. I think it did in the late 2000s when it came to the market crash. So we're going to keep on following that. We're going to keep on reporting on that. I'm going to keep posting about that on social media. And we're going to see how it goes. That's good, high altitude investing. I think that's awesome. I think you might be one of the exceptions. We're going to see. And it might be a matter of guys will keep paying their dues to keep being a member, but they won't drive to Masonic meetings until the price goes down. That type of thing. Well, thank you, Christ Enlightenment. I appreciate that very much. The other thing I want to mention is the Artemis II space mission. So, Freemasonry has a really cool history of and related to space exploration. Obviously, the conspiracy theorists love to point that out in a negative way, which is unfortunate. However, it is the case that we within Freemasonry have a really cool connection to the moon. Buzz Aldrin was a Freemason. He brought with him a Masonic charter to the moon. And as a consequence of that, Tranquility Lodge 2000 was created in Texas. Eventually with the goal of actually having a meeting on the moon. Right now, it's a little ways away, but this Artemis II mission is the first step towards having a permanent base on the moon. As a consequence of such, maybe within my lifetime, we will get to see a Masonic meeting on the moon. I would think that would be awesome, and I would love to see that. Abda, please hit like and subscribe. I'd very much appreciate it. So, as of right now, I want to see, I want to pull this up. I had it a second ago and now I've lost it. Let's go here. I do not own a snake. My supreme being is the rational nature of the universe as expressed through geometry. So there is a NASA's Artemis 2 live view on YouTube. It's really cool. It's showing live views. Actually, looks like, is it still working right now? Oh, it looks like it's off at the moment. But there is NASA's Artemis live mission coverage. It's actually really, really cool to see. Hold on just one sec. As of right now, as of April 2nd, the Artemis 2 Orion spacecraft, Integrity, is in high Earth orbit following the successful launch on April 1st. The capsule is currently in a wide, high Earth orbit, positioned to perform a maneuver descended on a trajectory to the moon. The crew is over 40,000 miles from Earth and moving towards the moon. What is really cool about that is, for the first time since 1972, humans were able to take a picture of the crescent Earth. First time we've seen that since 1972. I agree, Mr. Keeps. I think it is very cool. I don't know if you follow me on Twitter, but I've been posting a lot about it. Dun, dun, dun. They also showed, Earth, the Twitter, the X account, 11 hours ago, posted a picture from the Integrity space capsule of the Earth, demonstrating that it is in fact not flat. So there you go. So at this point, to my understanding, the Artemis 2 spacecraft is still orbiting the Earth, running some tests, making sure everything is working as it should. Tonight at 7:41 Eastern, I believe that is the correct time, the Artemis space mission, the Integrity craft, will perform a burn, and actually it will escape Earth's orbit and it will start on its 4-day mission to circumnavigate the moon, and in fact to see the dark side of the moon, and in fact to travel further than any human has ever traveled in space. Sadly, or not sadly anymore, the toilet on the spacecraft did break down after launch, but I guess they got it fixed, and that's a good thing because there's one toilet on that spacecraft. So if they do not get it fixed, it would be a very long 10 days. Yes, round Earth is confirmed, so everybody stop believing the Earth is flat. I believe in the Supreme Being. But I'm not necessarily Christian per se. I don't know what you mean by God, if you're referring to Christian or Muslim or Jewish. Freemasonry requires belief in a supreme being, but not in a specific supreme being. "7:49 p.m. Eastern, April 2nd, is when the spacecraft Integrity is scheduled to leave Earth orbit. That is when the spacecraft will perform a 5-minute and 51-second burn using its main engine to accelerate and escapes Earth's gravity, setting it on a trajectory toward the moon. So there you go. I'm going to try to post something about that when it happens. I have a Masonic event tonight I need to attend. So I won't be able to attend. I won't be able to talk about it during, but I can talk about it after the fact. Hello, Pumpkin Spice. We got some astronauts on there. Nothing is flat. The Earth is circular and round, and so is the atmosphere that surrounds the Earth. I do not know a lot about Christian language, but I'm trying to learn more about it. I think, I've said a million times, we as Freemasons should care about this for a variety of reasons. One of the big reasons is the emphasis that space travel and space exploration places on geometry. Which is one of the bases of Freemasonry. Right? I think we within Freemasonry understand that geometry is incredibly important for a variety of reasons. But for me personally, what it demonstrates is that the universe is rational, the earth is rational. There's a way to understand it, and there's a way to appreciate it, and there's a way to live in accordance with it. Right? This mission going to the moon, going around the moon, in fact, is completely reliant on our ability to understand the universe and to create and to make decisions and to plot out those decisions, right? If we didn't understand geometry, if the universe wasn't rational, there is no way that we could do these things. We would be at the mercy of, the vicissitudes of a completely irrational and uncaring universe. But we do know there's rationality. We do know nature is rational, and that rationality is very often expressed in geometry. And by acting and living in accordance with that, we can do some pretty incredible things, such as the Artemis II mission, which is reliant upon geometric principles to not just launch into space, because what is an orbit but a type of geometry, but to send itself to the moon. The most critical geometric component of the mission is the trajectory, a large figure 8 path through the Earth and Moon system. If you didn't understand geometry, if you didn't understand the way gravity equates with geometry, the way gravity is geometry, you cannot plot that path, because ultimately you're reliant upon the geometry created through gravity, through the curvature of space-time. Right? Instead of using fuel to turn back, the spacecraft uses the moon's gravity as a natural, massive lever to bend its trajectory, pulling it back towards the Earth. If the main engine fails after leaving orbit, this geometric path ensures the crew will still return to Earth naturally. You understand the geometry, you live in accordance with that, you act in accordance with that, you can make it to the moon. You can make it further than any other human has in the past. Artemis II will take the crew approximately 4,600 miles beyond the far side of the moon, using geometric precise aiming to ensure they view the moon from the desired perspective. Interestingly enough, the moon, I'm sick, so forgive me for sniffling. The moon will appear about the size of a basketball held at arm's length, allowing the crew to study areas of the far side not previously visited. The mission will also require precise geometric alignment for launch and return to Earth. The timing is critical to the second to match the trajectory with the orbiting moon. The other interesting thing, though, is it's not just the geometry of sending the spaceship. It's not just the geometry of sending the integrity from Earth to the moon and back. There's also geometry related to communications and the sending of radio waves from Earth to the integrity, to the crew. The spacecraft will be in the shadow of the moon for about 45 minutes on its far side, blocking communication with the Earth. Because it looks cool. Imagine that would be the most terrifying 45 minutes for everybody. both the astronauts and mission control. Basically, for 45 minutes, you're not going to be able to talk to them. You're completely reliant on Newton and Einstein to get them back where they need to be. Right, Artemis 2, this is the best way to describe it. Artemis 2 utilizes geometry of gravity to make the mission fuel efficient and inherently safer. Gravity is geometry. Geometry is gravity. So I think we as Freemasons should care about it because geometry is an important part of our art. Also, I think this should act as a, what's the word I'm looking for? Motivation for Freemasons. There are a lot of people I've talked to who did not believe, well, some of them just don't believe in the moon landing, period. So be it. But a lot of people believed we would never return to the moon. It was just too hard. There wasn't enough interest. People didn't care about science. We can spend the money on other things, whatever it might be, right? Seeing this take place, seeing these scientists put in the effort and the public support for the Artemis 2 launch, I think tells us that it's absolutely the case. Oops. I'm not sure where that music is coming from. Oh, here it is. I had the Artemis mission control on. So there you go. Or I had the Artemis YouTube channel on, I should say. You know, it took 58 years to get back to the moon. Maybe Freemasonry, it's going to take 58, 68, 78 years for us to get back to the same numbers we had before, for us to see significant growth in Freemasonry. However, I don't believe it's impossible, and I believe what this mission shows is actually maybe we can make it back to the moon. Or sorry, maybe we can grow Freemasonry once again. A lot of people think what we're seeing right now would never happen again. So I hope that Freemasons take this as a type of motivation, and I hope human beings take this as motivation for themselves. There's probably a lot of things that you believe were impossible or can never happen again in your life or can never happen in your life. Maybe use this as motivation. However scared you are to try something new, to fight for something, it can't be any more scary than being strapped inside a rocket, hurtling through space at thousands of kilometers an hour, traveling further away from our home than any other time in history, and losing communication with Earth for 45 whole minutes. I can only imagine how scary that would be. Struggling from a cold, but doing okay otherwise, Earth, thank you for being here. I don't think the world is irrational. I think human beings can be very irrational, Mr. Keeps. I think human beings are irrational, but I think the way for us to be good is to be rational. Rationality means to live in accordance with human nature. Or to live in accordance with nature, not human nature, excuse me, to live in accordance with nature. I think this space mission is the perfect example of virtue because it is entirely dependent on our ability to both understand and live in accordance with the rational nature of the universe. And therefore it is good by definition. Or at least virtuous by definition. How's it going, icosic tetrahedron? Women can join the Order of Women Freemasons. Primarily it's located in England, but there are several here in Canada as well, lodges. They can also join Eastern Star. They can join Rainbow. So yes, women are a very vital part of Freemasonry and our Masonic bodies. I'm currently the Worshipful Master of a Lodge. Border Cities Lodge, number 554. And grateful for it. It is the highest office you can have within Freemasonry, despite what people say about quote unquote the 33rds or whatever it is, it's not the case. Well, I mean, I think there's a virtue in that, predatory animal hunting. So long as they are, I mean, and now you get into the question of, do animals have free will? Do we understand free will of animals the same way as free will of humans? That gets really complicated and difficult. I don't know. An animal hunting food is as virtuous as me eating a cow. And if I lived in, olden times and did not have access to supermarkets, is as virtuous as me hunting and killing a cow for beef. I don't have any issue with that. I think that's a virtuous thing. If I'm hurting an animal, torturing it, causing it pain and suffering just for fun, with no purpose beyond that, then I think that is not a virtuous act. One of the questions though about animals is, do animals even have free will in the first place? You could argue human beings are the only or the exclusive creatures capable of choosing whether we live in or not in accordance with nature, or at least trying to not live in accordance with nature, right? Like a bird will not try to do anything other than fly in the path that is allowed through gravity and allowed through physics. A human may get very dumb and decide, I'm going to jump off this building, and if I just flap my arms really quickly, I'll fly, which would be acting not in accordance with nature, right? We're choosing to try to do something not in accordance with nature, and as a consequence of that, we're going to suffer the consequences of it. Same thing with the Artemis launch. The Artemis launch could create a whole bunch of calculations that completely ignore geometry, that completely ignore the science of geometry. They're going to end up, who knows, flying off into deep space, never to return, or crashing into Earth. It's about choosing to recognize and live in accordance with nature. Yeah, but do they have free will, or are they simply acting in a manner that they have been pre-programmed to do, right? Or maybe they've been trained on their nature to do it, right? Do they know that they're being cruel? Humans can understand and know cruelty. I don't know if cats can understand and know cruelty. And then you get into a question of, at what point does intelligence become sufficient? You can make moral judgments. I don't know. I mean, I think dogs seem to indicate that they have enough intelligence that, you can say a dog has misbehaved and understand that a dog has misbehaved. Cats, I mean, in some ways, I think cats are more intelligent than dogs. In other ways, not so much. It's tough to say. But there are all sorts of examples in nature of animals appearing to act cruelly towards other animals. Do they just not know any? Like bears, for example, supposedly start to eat humans while they're still alive. But the implication is it's because they're herbivores. They have no understanding of what it means to eat something that's still alive and can feel pain. So they're not being cruel on purpose necessarily. Yeah, I mean, I love my cat. Bandit's awesome. How self-aware is Bandit of things? Does Bandit understand what it means to be cruel? If, Bandit were to find a mice and start playing with it? I don't know. I think it's hard to make those judgments. But I think we can make those judgments for human beings. And as for the cat, all that I can say for sure is that I love my cat. I'm grateful for the cat. I can't make any judgments necessarily about what the cat is experiencing, except for very specific purposes. I can tell if the cat's in pain. I can tell if the cat's, happy. But does the cat understand concepts like cruelty, kindness, moral right, moral wrong? I don't know if I have any way to understand that. So, self-awareness. I mean, and yeah, some people make that argument even for human beings, which is a really interesting, completely off-topic side note. Do humans understand, are humans self-aware? Do we actually have free will? I think we do, but a lot of people argue we don't, in which case, that becomes a whole other question. Anyways, going back to this, so Freemasons should care about Artemis too, because the entire thing is premised on an understanding of geometry. And an understanding of geometry is an important both moral and practical consideration for Freemasons. And it should motivate us as Freemasons that it is possible to return to things that we thought were beyond our reach, including the moon. It's a great name for a cat. Although then you get into questions about naming things. Did I name Bandit Bandit and therefore it's become a thief? Maybe if I named Bandit super happy, friendly cat that does no wrong, maybe it'd be different. Yeah. I mean, so an act is virtuous based solely on the intent and the degree of awareness of the doer. Well, and whether it's in accordance with with nature in a way that can make sense. So, I mean, if again, if like in intent is a tough question because there's should you have just known better? So, for example, if I leave my house and I start swinging my arms back and forth wildly because I believe that, I don't know, I'm made of some special material that will just pass through human beings and it will make a difference, and I end up punching somebody in the face, maybe, you could argue, well, I didn't know any better, but it's still not a virtuous act because I should have known better. It's the extent to which my actions are in compliance with nature, right? And the more aware I am of the rules of nature, the more virtuous I can be. So again, an animal, I would say, by definition, will never be able to be as virtuous as a human because an animal simply has less awareness of the natural world around it. And as a consequence of that, it acts virtuous, but without choice. Again, a bird has no choice but to fly in accordance with the laws of nature. Human beings can try to fly, can try to do things that circumvent the rules of nature. They're going to fail, but they can try. I think the purpose of laws, as a general rule, should be to, as much as possible, take these rules of nature and apply them to our day-to-day lives. The most basic and fundamental rule of nature, if you want, the turtle at the bottom, the thing that underpins all other rules is things want to live. So any law or act that in some way, shape, or forms reaffirms or affirms the basic biological and natural statement that things want to live, including humans, is a good thing. Anything that is against that is a bad thing. Well, is it a good hairdresser or a bad hairdresser? MV, please hit like and subscribe. Zachary, please hit like and subscribe as well. I mean, free will and self-awareness. Self-awareness definitely varies from person to person, but our goal should be to try to have more self-awareness. And then free will. I mean, free will is one of those things where you either have it or you don't. I don't see how it can necessarily vary. I mean, say, human beings can choose to limit the free will of others. If you put somebody in jail, you're limiting their freedom and their free will. They have suddenly less choices through which they can exercise free will, but they still have free will of a sort. I've never heard of this law. What is it? Knack knack. No, nobody. I will not call myself. Randy, I'm awesome. That's what I am. Does the rest of it matter? So I do want to take a moment as well. Well, I mean, freedom is contingent. Free will be slightly different, right? Free will, in theory, exists no matter what, but your ability to exercise that free will, which would be freedom, is dependent on your environment. I also wanted to mention March was Fraud Prevention Month. I do want to mention another impersonation tactic to watch for. The false sense of urgency. Scammers know when you feel rushed, you're more likely to react before thinking. Slow down, take a breath, and always verify the source when you see phrases like send payment urgently, your account will be closed in 30 minutes, immediate action required. Staying calm is a superpower. Urgency is their tactic, not your problem. Also, I wanted to mention this. I'm always saying that we as Freemasons should be aware of and know about our resources in our communities to assist our brethren if they may find themselves struggling. So, with that in mind, I'd like to remind everybody about virtual urgent care, which is here for us and our families in Ontario. The number is 1-844-227-3844 and urgentcareontario.ca. It's here for us and our family. It offers same-day appointments for kids and adults on a first-come, first-served basis. Book an appointment today to connect with a medical professional without having to go to a hospital or urgent care center. So keep that in mind as well. I think it's important that we as Freemasons know about these resources and support our brothers in times of difficulty. And with that, let's go back to hanging out. Let's see who joins. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button. Thank you all for being here. Let me know how you guys are doing. And forgive me for the sneezing all the time as I deal with this cold. Iroquois, I'm doing well. Thank you for being here. Sorry, the name that's been chosen. What is the similar thing you just heard? And have you hit like and subscribe yet? Because I'm 2 subscribers away from 3,780. So let's see if we can get there. Oh, yeah, no, it's very true. It's very, very true. That's often what they do. And it's unfortunate, but that is what they do. You have to be calm, you have to be careful, you have to not let that affect you. Because once you're in a rush, you stop thinking. Staying calm really, really is a superpower. Thank you for hitting like and subscribe, the name that's been chosen. I'm grateful for that. Also, don't forget to make sure that you've turned on your notification bell. That way, whenever I'm streaming, you'll get a notification. There are mean people in the chat. You get used to it. The first Freemasonic king, actually, I don't know. That's a good question. Queen Elizabeth's husband was a Freemason, but he wasn't a king. Sorry, he wasn't a king, yeah. But he was a Freemason. James VI of Scotland, this is according to this is according to AI from Google. James VI of Scotland is widely recognized as the earliest documented king to be initiated into Freemasonry. But it says here he was initiated into Lodge number 3 in Scotland in 1601. I would always say that Freemasonry dates after that to 1634. Yeah, 1634. So I'm not sure about that. I would say maybe Frederick Lewis, Prince of Wales, might be a better one. Thank you, Ray Riddle. Please hit like and subscribe. Zachary Alawat. Masonic history is fascinating. There's no question about that. I think it's really, really cool. As always, please don't forget, if you are just joining us, hit that like button and subscribe button. I would be much obliged. It's a symbolic story. Hiram, Abiff, Solomon, those are symbolic figures. They are apocryphal figures. I wouldn't describe them as legitimate. There certainly would not be legitimate speculative Freemasons. I'm a third degree Master Mason. I'm also 18th degree Scottish Rite. I'm also Worship Master of my lodge. Oh, confirmed. Orion capsule was successfully placed in Earth's orbit and it's traveling at 17,500 miles per hour. It's now being prepared for the journey to the moon and back. That is awesome. I mean, I don't talk about the specific story. Hiram is probably an apocryphal figure. He was mentioned in the Bible, the name Hiram, as the architect of King Solomon's temple. The specific story about him, though, I always say if you want to learn about it, you got to join. But actually, it's funny. I do want to have a podcast episode where I talk about. I do want to have a podcast episode where I talk about King Solomon. So maybe at that point you'll learn more about him. So Skull and Bones is a fraternity out of, I think, Yale. Freemasonry, there's been Masonic presidents. There's been more who are not presidents. They're separate organizations. I think that's York Preston ritual. I'm emulation, which is a little bit different. The name that's been chosen, you're not wrong about that at all. There's absolutely a very valuable point that you're making, which is, yeah. But the beautiful thing about Freemasonry is, because Freemasonry is not a religion, so there is no single ascribed or prescribed interpretation of Masonic ceremony or Masonic ritual or Masonic stories. Every Mason gets the chance to believe what they so wish to believe. That's, I mean, I think the best part of it by far. I think that's genuinely a beautiful thing about Freemasonry, is the fact that every Mason needs to determine for himself what he believes. Whereas in religion, you have a prescribed interpretation given to you by a priest, imam, rabbi. One of the best ways to help people memorize their Masonic work in preparation is to ask them not just to recite words, but ask them, what do those words mean? And give it specific. What do those words mean to you? What do you think the secret of those words is? What did that story tell you? That's a really beautiful thing. And it helps greatly. So, yeah. Your friend is right, Ray. That's the first step. So what you need to do is find a Masonic lodge in your area and ask them about joining. Talk to them about joining. Don't start with the focus on joining. Just ask to get more information about their lodge and about Freemasonry, and you go from there. It's a really cool thing about Freemasonry. Right? Anybody who tells you, like, oh, you have to join Freemasonry, or we're going to invite you in, or congratulations, you've been pre-approved to be a Freemason, all that stuff is baloney, and you need to keep that in mind. we're just going to keep hanging out, waiting to see who joins. I got my main points I want to talk about today, so now it's back to just having fun. Yes, it's a good one. If I'm the one I'm thinking of, there's a couple different portraits out there. There's also one who everybody thought was George Washington, but isn't. It's a French fellow. I can't think of his name now. Why do you say that, Ray Riddle? So you need to be really careful about that. I always tell people when it comes to their history and their past, and if they have a criminal record, don't prejudge yourself. I mean, this is kind of a wrong way to say it, but that's the lodge's responsibility. What I mean by that is whatever your past is, if you have taken steps to be a better person, if you have, served your time in jail, let's say, gone to counseling, got support systems, and you've now become interested in being a Freemason, you know what? By all means, apply to join Freemasonry. That doesn't mean you'll be accepted. It may be that the crimes were simply too severe or your past is simply too bad, but that doesn't mean that you cannot still apply. And just give it a shot. Be honest, be upfront, be direct about your history, what happened, the ways that you've tried to change. If it doesn't work out, hey, they have the right to say no if they feel the crime is just too significant, especially if it's, at certain levels. But I always say never prejudge. That's not your job. Your job as someone interested in Freemasonry is simply to approach the lodge, express an interest, and go from there. And that's all you should do. Yes, John A. Macdonald was a Freemason. Are you asking me that? What's 2 plus 2 because you think I'm a bot or AI, or is that some type of test? Or is there 4? Have you hit the like and subscribe button? That's the better question. And I'm hoping the answer is yes. Not a fan of being called good boy, but all right. Well, why would you troll? Never be a troll, but hit the like button and the subscribe button. Because I'm 2 subscribers away from 3,780 subs. So help me get there. I mean, if you did go to Vietnam and you have PTSD, I don't know if you're saying others or you. I can imagine it was incredibly challenging. I think any war zone, I feel like I'm a wuss, so I'd be terrified, and I'm sure I would have PTSD as well. And again, that might be a reason to help explain your actions and your quote unquote really bad past. There's nothing wrong with, again, you don't prejudge, and you also don't judge the lodge. If the lodge feels your actions were simply too much, then so be it. That's their right. But you still have, and you still should approach them and express your interest. It's kind of like when people tell me they don't think they can join because they don't believe in a supreme being. When I talk to them, they do believe in a type of supreme being, just not one of a particular religious faith. My answer is always approach the lodge, express what you believe, and let the lodge decide. Don't do the work for them. Well, thank you for that. Now I'm 1 subscriber away from 3,780 subs. I can't make that promise. It depends what you tell me. So, no, I do not make that promise. It's very hard to not judge at all, actually. I don't know what that would exactly look like. Thank you for the chili, Jason Shank. I appreciate that very much. Well, that's fine, so long as you're not driving or operating a motor vehicle, and so long as you're being safe. Aren't we all diabolical? Nice. How was work? Hope it went well for you. Well, I mean, all of the internet, I think, by definition, becomes random pretty quickly, but I'm still happy that you're here. I hope you're doing well. And like I said, I hope you'll follow me along. Also, don't forget, turn on your notification bell because that way, whenever I'm streaming, you'll find me and it'll be posted. The internet has both good and not so good things about it. It can be both awesome and not so awesome. Our job is just to try to make it as awesome as we can, but that's true for life. Our job is to make all of life as awesome as we can, in my experience, and especially for the people around us. What do I think about the universe? I think the universe is rational by nature, which indicates that we humans can be rational as well. And the more rational we are in our day to day lives, the more virtuous we will be. Was it created? I'm a believer in an eternal universe. So the laws of the country in which they live and the laws of the country in which they work or pass by. So there are no Masonic laws in my day to day life. I'm following the law of Canada. Now, there are bylaws and constitutions that a Mason must follow, but those will never be in contradiction with the laws of the country. And if they are, the laws of the country or community are superior. So, Jason, I believe in an infinite universe in which there are many Big Bangs happening and many multiverses. I'm not sure if that's true. I've never heard of that law before. I'm not even sure what that means precisely. I don't think the I don't think the universe is reliant on us understanding it. I think it's the opposite. We are reliant on understanding the universe to live a good life and to be virtuous. Thank you, Jason, and thank you, everybody, for being here. No, I don't think the Earth is sentient. I mean, if you say sentient, do you mean like aware and able to make decisions? No. Plus, it'd be pretty terrible if it to be sentient but not have any ability to make decisions or move around. That would be terrible. To be completely reliant on gravity and whatever else it is to fling you about with no say or control, that would be very annoying. The rarest material? I think that's a knowable question, right? Rarest material. So it's wood, apparently. So carbon, I guess? According to this, wood is the rarest material in the universe. Don't you worry, I know what I'm studying. It's funny, if it had said stone, that would have been a really cool Masonic connection. But wood is cool as well. It's too late. I already Googled it. I didn't know that. I didn't know we were having a quiz. If I know we're having a quiz, I wouldn't have Googled it. I promise. Unfortunately, there are already people out there saying that the Artemis 2 launch was fake. That makes me sad. That makes me very, very sad. Hopefully, people can actually pay attention to these things, realize the truth. Never done any drugs. I mean, well, we need to redefine that. I drink a lot of coffee. Caffeine is a drug. I've taken over the counter medications. Like today, I took some Advil to deal with this cold. And I do take medications as prescribed by a doctor, all of which are drugs. Never any illicit drugs. But just because something is legal, does not mean it's not dangerous, does not mean it doesn't come with risks. You need to still be very careful about that. And Candace Owens is saying nonsense about Freemasonry. All right, well, that's not good. Never anything psychoactive. Well, yes, I do have a head that looks like a thumb. Please take a moment, hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and thank you for being here. These Freemasons run the French government and founded America. None of this is imagined. This is not good either. I don't know what manifestation means. Do you mean manifesting like positive thoughts and energy? Like if I believe I will get $1 million, I will manifest $1 million? I don't believe it's possible to manifest things like that. I'm not necessarily, though. I mean, I think power of positive thought can be a real thing, for sure. I mean, weed is legal. I have no interest in. I have no interest in any type of substances other than caffeine, I suppose, that have psychedelic effects. I mean, caffeine. I don't know if the effects would be psychedelic. Without question, that it affects the brain. I know about sovereign citizens. I hate the idea of sovereign citizens. I hate sovereign citizenship. You're not a sovereign citizen. You're a member of a country. You're a member of a community. You have a responsibility to it just as much as everybody else does. So, yeah, I strongly disagree with that. Yeah, that's a good way to look at it. Note FS. Please hit like and subscribe. Hello from Wyoming. Hello, Thomas. Please don't forget, one more time, hit that like and subscribe button. I'm almost at 3,780 subs. So let's get that one more sub in there. I'm much obliged. I think to know ourselves is important, but to know ourselves rationally, right? I think our ultimate purpose is to live in accordance with nature. So certainly I think to live in accordance with nature, part of that is a kind of biological imperative to reproduce and to continue the species. And I think there's a genuine biological or psychological imperative, which I think is the same thing, to explore. So sure. While some would argue we are the universe experiencing itself, that's from Midnight Mass, and there's something to that. Good for you. Again, if that is what's best for you, then that is what you should do, without question. You have to do what you think is best. Oh, we got some smiles. Who's that? Is that Smokey the Clown? If it is, thank you for being here. I hope you're doing well. Please take a moment, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button, and thank you for being here. I will take it. I mean, believe me, spamming those emojis helps quite a bit. So if you can do it, I would be much, much obliged. I'm laughing at you, not smiling. All right, well, I don't care if you're laughing at me or smiling at me or whatever you're doing. It helps the channel the more of those emojis you have. Although I will be ending this stream shortly. I will be back tomorrow. Actually, I'll be back tonight at 1 p.m. and then back tomorrow. I'm just not sure when yet. Because tomorrow is Good Friday. I thought it would be kind of fun to do a longer stream. That's a good question. In my experience, without a doubt, people like to be mean online. I don't know why or where it comes from, but that's just human nature. We do our best to deal with it, keep ourselves positive. You know, what can you do? So my hobbies, I love scary movies. I love professional wrestling. I mean content creation, I guess, in some ways. But those are my three favorite hobbies. I haven't watched Trailer Park Boys in so long. I enjoyed it when it was out. I thought it was good. All right, guys, I think we're going to end this stream now. I will be back on tonight at 1 a.m. I'll see you there. I'm going to be posting some stuff on social media. You can find that soon. I hope everybody has an excellent, excellent day. Thank you for joining me. I hope you enjoyed the discussion on the price of gas, the Artemis 2 mission, and some information for the public that can help you if you're struggling with being scammed or need urgent care and urgent support. Take care soon. Thank you guys so much.